What up, boys? It's Gaz, and welcome to the Warframe video. So, I know, really inconsistent upload schedule lately, but I think I have a new plan to make sure we keep it consistent going forward. So expect videos Monday through Friday every week, with no videos coming out on the weekends, and Twitch streams sprinkled in here, every here and there. So, if we do that, I have time to work on the videos on the weekend while I also work my full-time job. That's enough of that. So we're going over today something about the dev stream that I never made a video on. That's going to be Sevagoth, the new edgelord Warframe, and his Exalted Shadow form. So we're going to briefly go over that, but we're also going to talk about some build potentials for Sevagoth, because on that dev stream like a couple weeks ago, they showed us all the stats. They showed us what modding will be like for Sevagoth with like at least parts of it. Because the thing is, you're going to be modding out his Exalted Shadow form, the frame itself, and he even got some Exalted Claws you're going to mod out as well. So we're going to go over that stuff. And thankfully, the Exalted Claws have basically the exact same stats as the Reaper Prime. So we can basically do a pre-release guide for him. We'll also talk about his abilities briefly. Alright, so before we get into it, you know what? Hopefully you're having a good day. That's all I can say really, guys. Okay, so we're going to be using my Umbra Garuda as a basis, because I personally think that Sevagoth will be responding very well to Umbra Forma. And at this point, if you've been buying Umbra Forma for Teshin, buying Umbra Forma, or getting Umbra Forma on the Nightwave, you might have quite a few sitting around, unless you just use them right away like some people do. See, as you can see right now, I currently have 8 Umbra Forma, and I have not completed this Nightwave yet, so I will have 10 Umbra Forma once the Nightwave we're currently on is over. So, let's go over his stats first, and we'll briefly talk about his abilities. So let's start with the base stats of Sevagoth first. That is not his base stats. These are his base stats. So I have a feeling this is modded right here, because why would he have 864 shield? But this is all that we have really right now, so we have to go off of what we can. I believe he has a Prime Vigor equipped. This guy's going to be sitting at some pretty low base stats from what I can tell right here. 230 armor, hopefully not modded. I hope that 230 armor is his actual base. 531 energy, that's probably with Prime Flow. So expect him to have probably around like 100 and something energy. His health and shield are definitely increased by Prime Vigor. So let's take a quick look at a frame without any mods on the build, so we can actually see like maybe a decent comparison of what he's going to have at launch. Okay, so this is let's just take all the mods off of this right here. All the mods off of here, and then we're going to be putting on Prime Vigor to see what it's looking like. So I put Prime Vigor on 480 on Garuda at base. So he's going to have, unless they're putting on a redirection as well, which I wouldn't really put him past them to do that, expect it basically going to be really low base stats on the health and armor section. As you can see right here, even unmodded on Garuda, we have more armor than Sevagoth will have. So maybe buff his armor if he's going to have some lifesteal abilities like he is going to apparently have. His armor is going to be pretty low, unfortunately. I want Sevagoth to be good, trust me. I really do want Sevagoth to be good, but this is not giving me a lot of hope. And then they've got basically no stats on their build besides range. They've got a reach on there. So let's briefly go over his abilities. His first ability, Reap, will shoot out a evil ghost, and you can steer the evil ghost around. It will deal some damage to enemies and also put a debuff on them that makes them take additional damage. His second ability, Sow, by the way, you can steer the ghost around with your cursor. The second ability, Sow, will make the enemies affected by your debuff explode in damage. His third ability, Gloom, which, by the way, Gloom will be his subsumed ability. Here's the stats for it right here. That will cause an AoE, an expanding AoE of slowing and lifesteal in the area. And it's going to have a drain per second and a cost. So negative efficiency on Sevagoth will probably be really bad, at least from what I can tell right here. Because keep in mind, he also has an Exalted form, which will have a cast and a drain per second as well, most likely. But as you can see right here with the Gloom ability, it starts out at 4 meter range and expands out to 16 meter range. I'm guessing the drain per second, once it's at max range, basically the drain scales up with the range of the ability. So not really too phenomenal. It might be pretty good in some situations where you're double stacking slows, enemies are becoming useless. But as far as I'm concerned, lifesteal in this game is irrelevant with the current shield getting meta. But we have to work with what we have here, and he is supposed to be a lifesteal focused frame from what I can tell. So that's why we're going to be running some Umbra mods on him. And 5% lifesteal. I guarantee this stuff will scale with power strength. Now, the slow probably won't go too high. I'm guessing like 70 or 80% will be the max. 90, you know, like they're not going to make it 100% slow. That would be hilarious. But yeah, lifesteal will definitely scale with strength, as will the range of the ability scaling with range. All right, so with this stuff into play right here, I think that we should be going with, here's the build. I'm going to show a mock-up build on Garuda right here. Now, I do know that not everyone wants to run Triple Umbra, but I'm saying he's a lifesteal frame. If you don't want to just go for, like, shield gating, decaying dragon key, like, auger cheese, I mean, you can do that, of course. But what we've got here is a lifesteal focused tank build, and I am going to also put Gladiator Resolve on him because this is going to help us with his Exalted Claws to get red crits. We'll show the Exalted Claws build in a second here, since the Reaper Prime is basically the same exact weapon. So Steel Charge and Prime Sure-Footed. You don't need to run Steel Charge. You can run other augments, or whatever they're called, auras. If you run a lower ranked adaptation, adaptation's pretty nice for lifesteal, just makes you really tanky. I believe that Prime Continuity will be nice. You also might want to consider some efficiency on this guy, since he's going to be having a drain per second on potentially multiple abilities. Something like Streamline, going to make it so you can stay in your Exalted form longer, make it so you can use your Draining Gloom effect longer. And if you don't really care about range, I think range will be important on him. You could maybe potentially put on Prime Flow as well for even more energy. But, we'll have to see how it is at launch. Keep in mind, he has no energy regen abilities, unlike some frames like Garuda, where her third is going to give her energy. So energy might be an issue on him. We'll have to see. Energize is usually enough to keep people going nowadays, though. And since he's going to be lifesteal focused, I'm going to, for the time being, put the Triple Umbra on him. I think Power Strength will be effective on him, but we don't need too much Power Strength. I think like 166 should be honestly fine. I think that his Claws, his debuff, and his slow and gloom effects, well, he's going to scale with strength pretty well. So you could potentially run some more strength on him if you want. But if you're going to be casting that many abilities, you might want to go down the efficiency and streamline route, or efficiency and flow route. Keep in mind, there's also fleeting expertise, but if that's going to potentially make you have to run narrow-minded, nuking your range. So I think for now, this is fine. Let's go over his Exalted Claws now. Basically, just a tank build, guys. A tank build with some strength to make it where you're actually going to be, slowing enemies a little bit more, dealing some more damage with your claws and all that. So let's go over his claws here. You've got Sevagoth Shadow Claws. And honestly, guys, I think it might be a placeholder, but it's exactly the same stats as the Reaper Prime. So they've got 35% critical chance, 1.08 attack speed, 2.5 crit multiplier. It's got lower range, got 1.5 range, and the Reaper Prime has higher range than that, and 25% status, with basically all of it being slash. But keep in mind, since this is not an actual melee weapon, you cannot run Weeping Wounds or Blood Rush on here. There are certain mods that you cannot equip on Exalted melees. So we're going to be going with a different build here. I'm going to try Corrosive Heat for now. Unfortunately, since we don't have Weeping Wounds, a pure slash build I don't think will be as practical. Now, of course, you could make a gimmicky build where it's like a bunch of status chance mods and just slash and stack up slash, like Carnus Mandible, maybe like something like Relentless Combination, and things like that, where it's just increasing the status chance but not making any elementals on there. But I personally think Corrosive Heat will be a good call here. You could run Viral Heat if you wanted to as well. And we're also running Sacrificial Steel and Pressure. This is where the Umbra Forma might come in play here if you want to have some more flexibility on your build. So as you can see right here, we've got Prime, Fever Strike, and Shocking Touch to make corrosive damage, with Volcanic Edge making heat damage. Since you cannot run Weeping Wounds or Blood Rush, we're going to be having to just jam critical chance. So with Sacrificial Steel and Prime Pressure, Sacrificial Pressure, it's 131% crit chance. If you took off Sacrificial Pressure for maybe Prime Pressure Point, it goes down by about 20% crit chance. Not too big of a deal. You can still orange crit in that case. And keep in mind, you might want to run a Gladiator stat stick for his claws. Since you could not run Blood Rush, you're going to be wanting to potentially run something on Helios, or even like our Wukong video from a few months ago at this point. You might want to run something like a Wukong stat stick with a Azal or something. So what I'm talking about is like this. You build up the combo with your normal melee, and then you switch to your Exalted Shadow form. It should carry the crit chance over and let you red crit with Sevagoth's Claws. But keep in mind that they are going to be doing a melee rework eventually here, where you cannot run two attack speed mods on the same build. So we'll have to see exactly what happens there. But here's what I was talking about. So Gladiator Vice, Gladiator Rush, and Gladiator Might on this thing. Build up combo really fast with attack speed Riven, quickening to build attack speed and combo chance as well. And we've got Exodia Triumph, also making it so we get more. You build combo so fast on this, you'll get 12x combo easily. But like I said, keep in mind, this build might not be possible in the future, depending on how ham they go on the nerf. All right, so, and then like I showed with the The Reaper, it's going to be basically the exact same, guys, but expect the range to be lower. As you can see, the 2.8 range on the Reaper, it'll be 1.5 range on the Exalted Claws. But thankfully, the Exalted Claws have a pull-in ability where it's going to actually let you pull enemies in. So maybe, okay, I'd say maybe Prime Pressure Point's better than Sacrificial Pressure here because it's just a couple more % crit chance. But if you do run if you are running Arcane Avenger, you can probably red crit with a couple other things as well. All right, so that's basically it. I know you can also mod his Exalted Shadow form itself, so maybe a similar build. We'll have to see exactly what happens. But what I'm trying to say is I think this dude is going to take a lot of Forma, guys. This build right here is probably possible without 8 Forma, one of them being Umbra. You can also take a lower rank adaptation. This build right here is a 6 Forma build on the Claws, and it hardly even fits on. To be fair, I mean, you could move that right there. There you go. Maybe you could do this one with like 4 or 5. And then his Shadow Form itself. I mean, what, you can use another Umbra Forma on there? Are you going to potentially use an Umbra Forma on your melee weapon too? I mean, I feel like this Sacrificial Steel will be a staple mod on Sevagoth, personally. His Claws. Because you cannot run Blood Rush, you cannot run Weeping Wounds. I think this will be crucial, guys. So maybe potentially use an Umbra Forma. If you like Sevagoth, you think it looks cool. Maybe you like Arankar. Maybe put an Exalted Umbra Forma on his Claws. And as far as like the frame itself, I mean, I really hope they rework shield gating someday. Maybe make armor more relevant. But this is something you could potentially try. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. Like I said, there will be more videos coming out 5 times a week. I know, guys. I dropped the ball there. But I'm super busy, and I do want to keep going here. So I will see you in a video tomorrow. There was probably a video yesterday. I'm waiting for the devs. This video is actually getting recorded before the dev workshop on Railjack 3.0. So it might be a really weird alternate timeline right now. Either way, guys, take it easy, and I'll see you next time. Peace.